All right, welcome to SAFC Fan TV. We've got the panel sitting for you here. Before we start, we just want to say a massive big thank you to George and the team at the Hastings Hill pub, where they've allowed us to set up this studio and we're allowed to come here and record each week our show. So a big thank you to them for that. Don't forget, it's a great pub. If you ever pass in the Hastings Hill, pop in. They do fantastic food, great Sunday dinners, big full belly already up today. So pop in, and a massive thank you, because without their help we couldn't do this. So thanks to the Hastings Hill for that. Sat on the panel then for you this week, we have the Mad Mistake. We've got Michael Bowers, and on the end we've got Jacob Kirkbride. And of course, I'm wee Phillie, sat in the middle, the rose amongst the thorns. So yesterday then, Sunderland versus Oxford United, first game of the season at the Stadium of Light, finished a 1-1 draw. Who wants to start us off?
Was cack, wasn't it? for want of a better word.
It wasn't very good, was it?
We didn't look like, I don't know whether it was just me watching the game, but I just thought that it didn't look like there was much progression or change from last year. And I know it's one game into the new season, but like defensively especially, we were so exposed and open down the flanks and down the centre every time, and we just kept giving the ball away. I mean,
do we know what system he played then? Because I know we've discussed this off camera.
No, we tried to.
I think it was like 3-5-2, like he wanted to use Hume and McLaughlin as wing backs.
I thought he had three at the back. I mean, one of my interviews yesterday, one of the lads was adamant it was five at the back. For me, when he set up, it looked like three at the back, and he had the wing backs who were up and down. And Hume, for me, I thought he was all right getting forward. It's just his end product. Some of his crosses were just woeful, really. Yeah. But I thought he was, and certainly early on, lots of energy and down the wing, as he sort of did last season. I thought last season when Denver Hume played, I thought he looked all right. I thought he was all right as well.
But last season he wasn't playing wing backs, so Denver Hume just defended mainly, which is his job. Denver Hume's to defend as a left back.
But as a wing back, that's a pressure, isn't it? Though you're expected to defend and attack at the same time, like walking down the pitch.
Exactly, it's too much. I think he's overcomplicating things.
Well.
I think Jack Ross has overcomplicated things this season with changing the system. I think young guy like Denver Hume and Gooch, who's not really sort of defender, you want to see. For me, you want your defenders to defend. So if you have your four defenders, your two set of defenders, your right back, your left back. For me, the main job is defenders to defend, and that's it. And if your defenders are doing a better job than last season, you got less goals in. I mean, last season we scored almost every game. If our defenders kept a clean sheet, we'd win most games.
That's the point. Like, it annoys me when I get it. Going forward's an issue. We do need to score more, but at the same time, people underestimate how much keeping clean sheets makes a difference.
Yeah,
it does. And the amount of times that we let leads slip. Like, if you look at Scunthorpe, Oxford, and Peterborough last year, going in front and then conceding in the last 5 minutes. That showed a lack of bottle there for me, especially like Peterborough. So that's something we need. I'd have thought that's something that should have been rectified in the summer. And I think I'm not going to judge Jordan Willis, for example, after one game, but there was a couple of times where he tried to make simple passes to the fullback or wing back and he couldn't do it. I don't know, is that down to Oxford being good or us being poor?
I mean, playing 3-5-2, if you've got the players to do it, it works superbly. But I just think it's not the right type of system for this league. I mean, like, bless Denver Hume yesterday, like, he tries hard, he obviously wants to do well, he wants to, like, the fans to, like, really appreciate, like, him as a footballer. But I mean, going into the start of the season with a young left back, like, putting so much pressure on him, I think potentially we should have had a replacement lined up sooner. But I think it was all about whether
Oviedo was going to
go. Yeah, I mean, we're going to find out over the next few weeks whether Jack Ross will address that position. But yeah, I mean, like, fair play to that. Like, I think he just, like, the pressure got to him a bit yesterday. He looked like very nervous.
What about Flanagan seemed to come in for quite a bit of stick yesterday.
He's just so nervous watching him. You think like he's got at least 3 or 4 mistakes in him per game.
It was quite concerning because I thought the start of last season, I thought he was one of our best defenders. Maybe it's just me thinking outside the box here, but I thought that Flanagan looked right at the start of last year, then ended last season quite poorly, and then he just looked like he couldn't pass a ball. He looked like he was knackered after about 60 minutes.
went through a spell last season. I thought where he was brilliant. He had a spell where he was very good. But then there's Ozturk, who had a bit of a bad start, but then towards the end of last season was okay. You know, is there not room for him in there?
Yeah, I mean I thought Ozturk personally was going to be in the starting lineup yesterday. I mean, the way how he finished last season compared to how he started, like he grew as the season went on and like got better and better towards the end. And I think that would have given him so much confidence going into the start of the season. But the fact I understand playing Willis, but Flanagan over him, I mean, it was a bit of a surprise. Personally.
It all depends how Ozturk, what he's done over the pre-season. He's had more of a rest.
Is he a new signing?
It depends if Ozturk's had more of a rest over the pre-season or fit enough to start the match. I'm not quite sure, but
Bring in this.
over the pre-season, when you ended last season, we had defensive problems, and Ozturk was okay. So you go out and you buy another centre-back in Willis, and you go out and you buy a proper right-back in McLaughlin, because you sell Matthews, so you can free up 09. And then you go and change the system, so you bring 3 centre-backs back in, so you bring Flanagan back in, who was one of the liabilities last season. You got 2 good centre-backs, you got Ozturk, and you got Willis, you got a decent left-back, now you've got a good proper right-back. Why change the system? We were almost there last year. We were almost there. We almost had it. With 3 draws. If we had 3 of those draws, turn them into wins, we would have been promoted.
Were you surprised they let Reece James go?
Crazy, absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
It's just bizarre why you leave. You knew Oviedo was going to go, so why let James go unless James wanted to be away?
I thought James looked okay.
I was quite impressed with James. He did well last season.
One of my favourite players.
He never did anything spectacular, but he was solid. That's exactly what you want your left back to be. I think the case with selling James was we probably. Well, I'm trying to be devil's advocate here. Maybe the club thought, right, got Hume coming through. Okay, Oviedo hasn't gone yet, but we might expect him to go, but he hasn't gone yet. But even then, the argument is, why have we not gone and got another left back for then? Is Oviedo's wages, are the wages like that much of a barrier that we couldn't have gone and got a left back?
Well, there's somebody coming in. He's left the number 3 shirt vacant. So there's going to be somebody coming in.
It's got to be. It's not going to be good if you're going into the season with just one senior left back.
So I think that's probably all in hand, and it's going to happen. But it should have been in place by now. But
exactly.
So what about the forward line then?
Well, that's one of the problems of last season. We needed to address the defence and address scoring goals. We've got another forward in, Mark McNulty, and obviously you're getting the defenders in. But then again, you've changed the system. You're overcomplicating what has to be. It's a simple game. Your defenders defend. You let your midfielders help the attackers, assist the attackers, like McGeady, Maguire. Now you've got Gooch. Now you've got plenty of midfielders in McGeoch. You've got Dobson. You've got 09. We're just complicating things by changing the system straight away in the season. We don't have to do this.
I never thought I'd say this, but I think we missed Charlie White towards the back end of that game yesterday.
But the crosses yesterday we did. Because I mean, even Charlie White wouldn't have reached those. They were like...
Have we got to the point that desperate where we miss Charlie White?
Well, I mean, I just think...
He's all right, to be fair. He was all right in the last season.
The frustrating thing with our forward line at the minute, I mean, how many times did the centre-back for Oxford, who was marking Will Grigg, more or less won every single header against him? And
I mean, I appreciate that's not Will Grigg's game.
No,
and don't get me wrong, I'm kind of, I don't know what you guys think about the Grigg situation, but I think I'm in the middle of 2 minds here. On the one hand, we do not get service to him at all. Not enough, adequate enough service. And that's what frustrates me here, because one of the things in pre-season, I can't remember who said it, that one of the things in pre-season had to be to get the best out of Will Grigg. There's someone there who'll get you 20, 25 goals a season, or at least 15 to 20, and you're not getting the system to get the best out of him. However, the amount of times I felt Grigg was slouching a few times yesterday.
Yeah, his attitude.
It really started to not annoy me.
But it's confidence as well. Can McNulty not play the sort of role that Honeyman was playing last year, linking up with Grigg? It seems good with his feet. And if he can get the balls to Grigg,
right behind the striker, right behind Grigg.
Just right behind
Grigg.
Grigg.
Isn't Grigg better in that role just behind the... Have I got this wrong? I thought he was pretty good, sort of like...
Well, they could take turns, won't they? Couldn't they?
Maybe.
I mean, for me, the strikers we've got you know, I mean, Will Grigg is not a bad striker, right? He can't
Of course he's not.
score.
You have
the
to
goals
have
he
the
has.
team built
But the
around
thing
him, though.
is they get no service, and I just think if we can get service into our forwards, they'll bang them in. Yeah. They're not bad forwards. It's.
Do you think the problem was that we haven't seemed to have signed someone in the summer that was an out and out not even that, like an attacking player that could link midfield.
Well, that's what we need. That's what we're short. We're short of a creative midfielder. Is what you need.
I'm surprised we didn't address that.
We have a lack of width in the team as well.
That's one of the things I like about McNulty was that he plays the ball. He gets the ball with his feet and he runs with the ball well with his feet. Now, if he can link up with Grigg, rather these like wing back systems, you put these high balls across, and we've got like 5'6" players. It's no good.
And in fairness, sorry, go on.
It works better 3-5-2 as well if you have players with pace as well. And I think
that we are so slow, aren't we?
Yeah, at the moment we haven't quite got that.
The thing is, you've got Gooch and Watmore, who are probably the two quick out and out pace, the quickest players in the team. But Watmore's, I mean, I like Watmore a lot, but his touch lets him down a lot, and then Gooch tends to have little to no end product half the time. So, I mean, as far as Grigg and McNulty are concerned, there was a couple of times yesterday, I thought early on they looked like they could link up quite well. There was one where I think Grigg teed up McNulty, and it was the shot that either the keeper saved or went just past the post. Which, it says something if that goes in, then you never know. But
when they brought Watmore on, I mean, his energy changed the game. I mean, he was like a terrier, came on.
Pushed them back, didn't
he just seemed a bit lost. He was running for everything, but it did up the tempo and everything. Yeah. But then...
It's when you get into the final third, it wasn't exactly there, was it?
Well, he looks a bit... Yeah, to me, was he playing a bit deep yesterday?
Yeah, I found that as well.
The furthest forward he tended to be was the halfway line. Right, you're at home against... I'll make it clear, I thought Oxford battled very well yesterday, but you're at home against a team that was in mid-table last year, and you're looking to get promoted. Why is your winger or your attacking outlet, whoever it is, playing so deep from the halfway line? Is that Ross instructing them? Is that an instinctive thing?
I appreciated his determination, Watmore, when he came on, because of the times where he was putting himself amongst challenges, something that Grigg wasn't doing throughout the game.
Which says a lot concerning Watmore's injury history recently.
And when McGeady came on as well,
he didn't look fit at all.
He seemed, it was like a sense of urgency. He wanted to do everything. He changed the game. He put some life into it, sort of thing. Yeah. But he wanted to sort of be everywhere and was desperate to do some of that magic. But
it just was desperation towards the end from the team, though, wasn't it? Which I can understand, but there was no. It felt like let's just get forward and hope for the best, rather than actually an actual plan to try and break Oxford down. Yeah.
So then, the new signings, how did they rate amongst you?
I like Dobson. I think Dobson could be potentially good with McGeoch. Somebody who cuts out the odd mistakes. Like I said, stop. Look up when you're passing the ball and find your man, which I think when going forward he's quite good at doing.
I think our passing yesterday was terrible. Was atrocious. I mean, Oxford banged it about and were clinical with it at times. And I
thought Dobson.
Sloppy.
But I thought two of the better passes were McGeoch and Dobson in the centre. I thought when it got out wide to your wing backs or the other midfielders, Embleton, giving the ball away all the time for me. I thought it was just me. But
I'm looking forward to seeing how Dobson does as the season goes on. I think because he has got a lot of potential, and I think he's got a lot of energy about him, which the team lacked towards the back end of last season.
It kind of struck me with Dobson as a bit like 09. He kind of started. I mean, I don't know the parallel, so maybe Dobson hopefully is not going to be shifted to right back. But when Dobson started, it was similar to 09. They looked a bit sort of headless chickenish to a point because they were a bit overwhelmed because they're playing for Sunderland really, the first game. So I think I'm with you. So I think Dobson will be a huge player.
Well, he's not been used to 30,000 crowds as he saw.
No,
it's got to have some sort of effect.
But as well, he's captain Walsall, hasn't he? So at 21 years old, which I think says a lot about his character.
I'm from Walsall. He's from Walsall.
Yeah. So like that.
With McLaughlin being brought in as right back, does that mean 09 is not going to get a game now?
See, 09 for me, 09's best game was further upfield and
behind the striker.
And when he got moved to right back, that limited him doing that. And now we've got the right back, like you say, he's not getting in the team. I would have him in there.
But if you play last season's system, him and Gooch could be on the right. You know, one plays one half, one plays the other half, or you could take turns starting. And on the left, obviously, you got McGeady, and you can fit Maguire in. But in the system he's playing now, he's just going to use him as a right back, and he's going to use him as a wing back. I mean, he's going to start Gooch all the time, and then bring 09 on when Gooch runs out of petrol.
So what about the right back then? Views on him? McLaughlin?
Yeah, I think he was solid, especially second half. I mean, I think first half, I think he was part of one of the reasons for the goal conceded, wasn't it? Well, I think him and Dobson didn't quite link up well, and I think it was just a lack of communication that led.
I think with McLaughlin, once a system gets decided on, like a definitive system, and then you know what your players fit in which system, I think McLaughlin will thrive in it. I saw enough in McLaughlin yesterday to be convinced by him.
You buy your right back, you play him as a right back.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Why put him in a different position?
Yeah. What did you think of Jordan Willis?
I didn't think he did a lot for me. Like
second half, he gave away like some really
at least two occasions
stupid passes, to their player out on the wing.
The guys I sit with, one of the lads said, he was talking to a Coventry fan. He said, and what he likes to do, he likes to try these long balls, these Hollywood balls. He said, and 9 times out of 10 they don't come off. And as soon as he said that, he did exactly that. There you go. So.
It's the same because half the time we just kept hoofing it forward every time and think, oh, go on, one of them lot will battle.
Yeah.
We'll just
but
get
again,
to them,
on one game, you can't judge it. I mean, they could turn out to be world beaters.
But surely Jack Ross is in charge. He tells them stop doing these long balls and stop doing long balls.
Yeah.
As far as the new signings, I think I said to you guys off air, I think McNulty I was quite impressed with yesterday. Yeah. Firstly, because I thought there was, don't get me wrong, actually had a couple of decent scoring chances as well. But I thought that there was a couple of times he linked up with Greg quite well early on, and he was harrying for people, he was pressing people. He was getting in Oxford's face all the time. If he does that, goals will come for him.
He could have had a goal in the first half as well. He had a shot.
Exactly.
I think Oxford's backline tactically sussed us out because they were like putting both their centre halves a lot on McNulty, and I think when he's one of those strikers, if he finds space, especially on the edge of the box, like he will score goals.
Well, they came to do a job on us, and they did the same last year, and they got the goal, and they looked sharp at times, and then there was the time wasting. They were doing it from the first half, and but
it worked for them.
That's what they came to do. They came to do that, and.
Both times we played them last season, they looked a decent side. Yeah,
but their defenders must have been laughing when all these high balls were coming across and got these little strikers up front. What
was
bread and butter to me?
Do you any of you know what was Oxford's second goal disallowed for?
Well, they're saying it was an infringement on the keeper. We thought we'd said handball where I was sat initially, and we thought he'd put it in with his hand, but since watching it back, they're saying it was.
Their manager Carl Robinson was very, very annoyed about that. I mean, he didn't see what was wrong with it at all. Wasn't it
their player coming back from behind McLaughlin?
He's back. Oh no! From what I've seen, I think he backs into McLaughlin. I think we was probably lucky that he gave the foul, but you can't touch a goal.
It feels every time we concede a corner, I'm on edge. It feels like we're going to concede from it.
That's something we should have sorted out in the summer.
Yeah.
What's Jack Ross? Don't get me wrong, I'll get onto Ross in a bit, but I don't know what he's doing with these in training. Do they just think, well, we're crap at set pieces, lads, we've got no hope of defending them?
That's what Ozturk did well when he came in last season, back in last season.
Ozturk's got his deficiencies, but he's tall and strong, isn't he?
Kicking into Rose head.
What are centre-backs in this league most of the time? Tall and strong. Or one or the other.
Flanagan looks weak, didn't he? He's gangly and weak. Wasn't he originally a right back as well, though?
I think he's a centre half that can play.
He has played there in his career, but
he played there for Burton, didn't he?
I thought he was bought originally as a right back. I'm not quite sure.
I don't know.
So, what about the places where you think we need to strengthen then before this window shuts? I know we've mentioned left back. We are going to need somebody sort of in there. Is anywhere else? Do we think?
I'd settle for the new. First choice left back coming in, no disrespect to Denver Hume, but I would say 2 more wide players, and then potentially I think that's us done. But obviously they need to be wide players that can add pace to the team.
They need to have an end product.
Yeah.
I think for me, if you could get I still think we could do another centre half. I think if you get one more convincing centre, because I think Willis will come good, but I think if you can get a good convincing centre half and then get at least what we need a player who can link up play desperately. If we can get either a wide player or an attacking midfielder, and then someone who will link things, like Marcus Madison's a name been mentioned, but we're not going to splash on him. So, but someone that's almost as good as that, and then a left back. That's why I think we'd be done there. Whether we get that or not, I don't know.
I think if we can get Power fit, he'd be an asset this season as well, because I think he lost his confidence last season with the red cards.
Half of which weren't red cards.
Yeah, I think,
exactly, I know.
Yeah, Ross kicked sense into him as the season went on, and like in that run, like towards the back end of last season, he was still like showing effort, like guiding the team on. He had like a captain's mentality, and like he came off injured in the playoff final.
Yeah, you were telling me
and
about
like
that, yeah.
we never really recovered from that.
We didn't look good in midfield
No.
since then, did we?
Now, if you saw when Wigan had Power and Grigg in the same team, how many times Power fed Grigg?
Yeah.
Great balls. We just need to get that going again. Freed Will Grigg. Let Power do.
It seems to be the Sunderland curse for me. Like everyone does well elsewhere, and then they come here.
I think
and they can't seem to
Ross
replicate
holds
it.
him back though, because he asks Power to play in such a deeper role. Like I don't think he allows him much to like get further up the field and supply the strikers.
But surely, if we've got another holding midfielder like Ledbetter, who's probably going to play because he's captain, or McGeoch, then give Power the freedom to go forward more.
Exactly.
So what are people's thoughts on, because this was mentioned in one of the interviews I did yesterday, Jack Baldwin, bringing him back in, because one of the lads was adamant, why haven't we got him in? And he got some stick towards the end of last season.
But maybe like that's the thing. Time out the team might give him like a good headspace, and like he needed.
See,
that.
I don't mind Baldwin. I mean, Baldwin had been getting slagged off, but I don't say enough. I thought last season he had some brilliant games, but then
then came the Coventry game.
And just so.
I mean, in fairness to Ross, I suppose after the Coventry game, there's no way you couldn't change at least one of the centre halves after that. You let him fight.
What I noticed about like, especially, it could be like the Ozturk situation. He has a spell out the team where his confidence is like comes back and then like does really. That could be the same with Baldwin.
I think for Baldwin, it's like. I think there are times when Baldwin does tend to have a mistake in him, but at this point, so does every centre back we have.
And he looks dangerous on set pieces as well.
I think Baldwin captained Peterborough, didn't he? Though before he came here, or did he?
Sure.
Either way, he was ever president in Peterborough's team for a spell anyway. I think if you're going to worst case scenario, if you bring Baldwin in, could he do any worse than Flanagan did yesterday?
Flanagan,
so why not?
Mistakes.
But the thing is, if you go back to a flat back four, you're going to have your Willis and your Ozturk, and you don't need Baldwin and Flanagan unless you get injuries. And last season, one of the reasons why we didn't get promoted, we didn't keep clean sheets. Exactly. And Flanagan and Baldwin was in defence for most of the season.
I mean, what you mentioned, I saw a stat. Someone, I think it was on Sky, somewhere said a stat that we kept some like 13 clean sheets last year. The teams that got promoted kept 20 plus.
Exactly.
Huge difference.
That's why we've tried to improve the defence. Now we've tried to improve the defence. We've got to play the players to improve the defence.
I mean, in fairness, if you're going to swap and change centre backs all the time, it doesn't help. That's the one area of the pitch where you need if you can find a consistent partnership and stick with it, then I think we should be fine.
So adamant as well of playing out from the back as well, Jack Ross, and like I think.
Is this the league the place to do it?
Yeah, I mean, considering it's our second season in League One now, I think just hammering it into Rose Ed will just make a ton of difference eventually.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, the biggest problem and the reason, and you touched on this at the start, the reason we didn't get promoted last season was because of all the draws, and 3 of those draws turning into wins would have had us promoted. So, and that is what we had to address this season, what we have to address this season. And there you go, we start our first game at home and we get a 1-1 draw.
Yeah.
The thing is, last season we were so close to getting promoted with the system he was playing. We let too many goals in, and we didn't score enough goals because we sat back when we went in front. Now, if we had the defenders in place and we had the midfielders who could go forward and score more goals with the attackers, we'd win plenty of games.
Even just relieve your pressure from your centre backs.
Exactly. And we've got loads of midfielders now. Now we address the defence. Let the defence do the defending, keep the clean sheets. Let the midfielders supply the forwards, and we get more goals, win the games all day long.
Even what you said about the clean sheets, if you look at it, you could say all the draws. At the end of the day, in the playoff final, we were winning.
We score every game.
I mean, even if Charlton scored for us in the playoff final, basically, We were winning. Keep a clean sheet there, you're promoted.
So my next question to you then, should the mad mistake not be manager? Yeah, didn't you?
Right.
So
Hashtag mad mistake.
I reckon you'll give some of those players a right good bollocking.
I'm a pundit, not a manager.
Right,
Get yourself connected to Stuart Donald, he might give you a role.
right, listen, we're talking about Jack Ross then. So, your views on Jack Ross, because, I mean, you'll have seen it from yesterday. You know, there's people want him out straight away,
I
and
think
he's not
that's
the man. And
ridiculous after one game, especially.
well, people from last season, where you know he was getting criticised, and you know he's not everybody's cup of tea. I've yet to see him. When I watch him, and he's at the side of the pitch, he's just not animated. His hands in his pockets. You know, all right, that's probably his way. But for me, I want to see them screaming at them.
Yeah.
And at half time yesterday, I said to the guy I sat next to, I said, look, we're getting beat. I says, I just can't see Jack Ross being in that change room now, having somebody round the throat and gone. You can't see it.
In fairness, I do think a lot gets made of people. I mean, this is just my opinion. I think a lot gets made of managers being animated or unanimated on the touchline. But I do think yesterday, I did need to see a bit something from Jack Ross. Even if you're not going to be barking and effing and blowing and screaming at them, you know, show some indication you're not happy.
What was quite a weird thing was, as soon as we conceded the goal, it was almost like he was like applauding to like get the motivation up. But you would normally associate a manager like throwing his instructions towards that certain player that made that mistake to like try not to make that mistake again. And I just felt that it was just a bit weird seeing, but that's just the type
So
of
what are
man
your
he
thoughts
is.
on him then? Are you happy with him? Do you think he should be given a certain amount of time, and if things are not going right, he's out? Or
Still happy with him for now. I mean, considering last season was his first in English football overall, I'd still give him a little bit more time.
To back up Jacob's opinion on Jack Ross, I mean, I'm in the middle myself personally, but there's a stat that says I think Jack Ross's win rate in his second season is drastically improved from his first. And I know people could say, well, he might not apply at Sunderland, but it's a valid thing to point out. For me, I think calls for Jack Ross to be sacked in last season were unfair. Not because I was happy we hadn't got promoted. Yeah, it's a failure. You can't any way, shape or form say that it's not a failure. But yeah, okay, you can look at Lee Boyer at Charlton, but circumstances are different. Jack Ross came in with a club that had back-to-back relegations, had a culture that was rotten from the core. It was a losing culture, a culture, in my opinion, of players not trying hard enough. You had to overturn that. You had like 8 players, for God's sake, last summer. So to get them to gel together, to get them to finish fifth, in some respects, you could say is a decent achievement. How often do you throw players together and it works? Straight away, it doesn't. But yesterday, I'm on the fence. I can see, but I could be persuaded either way, personally.
Well, if he's going to continue playing the wing-back system, and this new system he's
you just
playing
want
now,
his job, don't you?
he needs to either bring in Charlie White or somebody who can actually head the ball down or feed the strikers. Otherwise, for me, he's got to revert back to the system last season where he was so close to getting promoted. All he had to do was improve the squad, which he's done this season for me. And now he's confusing the players. I don't know if he's confused himself. I'm still behind him because I want him to succeed. I don't see anybody get sacked. But you can only...
He's got to show a bit more.
He's got, like I said, he's got about 10 games.
Yeah.
And if we put him into the table in 10 games, it's got to change.
Yeah, I mean, he shows the attitude at times that he still doesn't know his best team, I think.
Well, that was the thing, because yesterday I'm sure we started with one formation and then we switched to another one, and it looked all over the place. There was no cohesion in that regard. I mean, so it's a hard one. I don't know, but...
So are you saying that if things are not going well after 10 games, he should be sacked?
I think if he continues to make mistakes and follow a system that doesn't work, I know it's only the first time he's tried it, but he's tried it in pre-season, not scored any goals. You know, obviously he's scoring against Hartlepool and he's scoring against South Shield, but playing against better sides, you can't score goals. If he's not going to score any goals in the first 10 games playing the same system, he's not going to change and use the players to his advantage, then after 10 games he should be gone, yeah.
The thing is, and where I see a problem, for myself, there's a lot of things I don't like about Jack Ross, but, you know, do we want to go back down the route of sacking these managers?
No, definitely not.
It's a lot of the time it can boil down to look if players gel together and they start playing and you're winning, you're away, you're on a flyer. Those same players, can have a nightmare and that then gets the manager sacked. If, say, in 10 games' time, we're doing really bad and we're bottom half of the league and what have you, and everybody's calling for his head, I don't think it's that easy because I think it's going to take a lot for Stuart Donald to actually sack him.
He's publicly backed him this summer, hasn't he? So he'll look a bit of a hypocrite if he sacks him after.
I still think we should judge him properly towards the end of the season because I think we're in a league where you could still start maybe not the best, but it just takes.
Well, look at Luton last summer.
A decent run towards the end of the season, like 6 or 7 games, you can find yourself in the top 6.
We looked at
top 2.
We looked at Luton last night, didn't we? And we were saying that like after about October, they were about 10th mid-table. I think for Jack Ross, I'm kind of with you here. I think that for me to be Jack Ross out, we have to look like we're not going to win games, we're not scoring goals, and we look like we're not even going to challenge for getting promoted. So, I mean, look at Ipswich and Portsmouth. I mean, I'm sure we'll get onto that. Like, you look at the games coming up in the league. Ipswich and Portsmouth are a damn sight better than Oxford. So, I think he's got to learn what his best team is, stick with it, and if we don't feel we're adequate in some areas, go out and strengthen where we need to strengthen. I'd like to see a bit more bottle from him, but I'm not Ross out yet. But
so these next 2 games will test his mentality.
Yeah. The thing is, though, and there's a lot of people now want him out. Now, that's it. You should go and what have you. So, to try and appease those people, let's say he does get sacked. Who else is there to bring in?
Let's go back to the other point first, right? I want him to succeed. But what guarantees if you got that he's a good manager? But no guarantees. If we could follow him all season, he could be just as, could fail. There's no guarantees he's going to be a good manager. Nothing there in his CV says he's a good manager.
But how bad was he last season? He only just missed out last season.
So that's why I'm saying, why is he changing it around this season? He's wanting better players to do the job that he couldn't do last season. Now some of the players who are in place go back to the system that worked last season. It worked because we won plenty of games. We scored every game, almost. We drew too many games, so obviously we drew too many games because defenders were letting in goals and we couldn't score goals. Now you've got the extra striker and you've got the better defenders in. Play the advantages.
Just to throw that on the table, you mentioned last season. Do you think the squad we had last year should have gone up though, compared to other sides in the league?
I think that the argument there, I think at times last season we thought we were better than what we actually were.
On paper, I mean, on paper, we should have walked the league, really. But
it was just the defence that was down.
I mean, the one thing I will stick up for Ross and the team last year is that, and this isn't an excuse by the way, but it is a factor. Everyone raises their game against us in this league. Yeah. I guarantee you when, I don't know, who beat us last year? Like Accrington, for example. They come up here 2-2, but they've played like their lives depended on it. Guarantee they didn't play the same way against Luton or Barnsley, did they? They wouldn't have played the same way against them. But we've got to learn to deal with that.
And this is why this season, I thought, at least, surely, I'd like to think that last season they were ready for that, knowing that they were going to up the game. Yeah. But let's say they didn't. At least this season, they don't have that excuse to...
oh, no.
You
could argue it's not an excuse to begin with, but yeah, it's a factor though, isn't it?
Nobody in the side or the management have any excuses this season.
Well, are we not scared at home as well? Because we're just the mistakes we make at home and
a lot of people pounce on
away,
them, don't they?
Just absolutely. Yeah. And teams are coming. Oxford did it. They were closing us down. They were on us, and
why can't we do the same to them? Why can't we close them down?
Exactly.
No, that's a great point. Like if I'm pretty sure that if we look, I hate to not mention them too much. We know when Newcastle in the Championship, what they did was they matched teams' work rate straight away, and because they're better quality, that's why they won games.
That's what you have to do.
So why can't we do that? Yeah. I mean, what I will just to play devil's advocate again, like you look at Norwich, for example. Look at the rewind a year ago. How close would Daniel Farker have been to getting sacked? Yeah. And he's in the Premier League now.
Absolutely.
I think like the start, like especially since Jack Ross took charge, what I noticed like away from home, the style of football is a lot better to watch because they're less nervous about playing in front of like lesser crowds.
I mean, you've hit the nail on the head. We should be closing.
Make your players work for a living.
Recruitment team, right here.
I still have faith in you, Jack. Though, top man.
We all want you to succeed and the team to succeed. But they've got to want to succeed themselves.
So, where do we think we're going to finish this season then? I know it's only after one game.
I think we need to, with the current squad we have, lower our expectations a little bit, but I think it's all about this time just promotion. And if he hasn't done it this time, then I would say potentially look elsewhere in the managerial department.
For me, unless you can guarantee we win the playoffs, anything less than top 2 is a disaster. I think the squad we've got should be getting top 2.
Is that what you think then? Are we going to get top 2?
Don't think it. Before the start of the season, I said for us to finish second.
So you're
Okay, I'm going to be positive. I'm going to say second.
Hopefully win the league. But Jack Ross has got to hopefully get the team motivated, get the right system in place. Yeah. There's no reason why we cannot win the league with the squad that we have.
I'll say top 3, but where we'll be in that top 3, I'm unsure. I mean, I'll just settle for promotion.
Well, I'll say what I've said at the start, and I think we'll be champions, and I think we'll be promoted by Easter. And I still firmly believe that the fallout from yesterday and everyone, it's one game at home. We're not going to win every game at home. And yes, it's, we should have, no disrespect to Oxford, but we should be.
If you want to go up,
the likes of Oxford. Them, yeah. And I think the Ipswich game coming up, which we'll get on to, it'll be important, and we'll discuss that.
Plus yesterday, a lot of our best players weren't 100% fit. McGeady, Maguire, Ozturk, they weren't in the squad. It didn't start because they weren't 100% fit. So you got young lads like Embleton playing and Dobson playing. It's their first time.
That's not going to be our team throughout the whole season.
No, it won't be.
I mean, it could simply have just been a poor performance.
So things could get better. Hopefully, the likes of Denver Hume and obviously Gooch can learn from yesterday if they're going to continue with the win-back system. Yeah. And then put better crosses in.
As well, not every team's going to close us to the level that Oxford do. Oxford are one of the most physical sides in the league.
But I think we just need to adapt to that a little bit more.
Yeah, we do. We do need to play better than that at home, though.
And be more
ruthless.
Yeah, just match the playing style of the opposition.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think players like Ozturk and Maguire are more physical than some of the other players.
Well, we'll see in the coming weeks.
Yeah,
we'll see in the coming weeks.
All right, so moving on to next Saturday, when we're away at Ipswich Town. So, how do you think we're going to fare down there? They got an away win at Burton.
Yes, they
yesterday,
did.
I think it was.
Very good result. That.
And if I'm being honest, I thought they would still be having a hangover off last season where they had a nightmare and they came down. And I thought, if you're going to play Ipswich, I thought it was probably a good time to play them Saturday. But there you go, they go and win away from home, boost their confidence. So, do you want to kick us off on that?
Well, the problem with next week is if we did lose this match, we'd be 5 points behind already at the start of the season. But I'm always positive, and I don't see why I never go into a match expecting to lose or expecting to draw. I always want to win a match. I always want to win a game of football. I've got to go in there being positive, so I'm going to go for 2-1 victory.
Oh, got a prediction as well.
Yes. You have to believe you can win. You have to believe you can win every single match. Otherwise, what's the point of going to the match and think you're going to lose?
Why do I recommend you put a bet on 1-1 though?
Yeah.
I know.
Put the money bet
if
on
I did
1-1.
that, I'd probably lose. So I'll go for it 2-1.
Okay.
Michael?
I'm going to be ambitious. I'm going to go for the same score, come from behind victory. I honestly think at one point that has been made, I think our performances have been better against the better sides. And Ipswich, I think, are one of the best teams in the league. I've tipped them to win the division, actually. But I know what you mean about the hangover thing. It could be a factor. But I think being away from home could suit us. So if we get the right system and we play to our potential, I think we'll come away with 3 points. So I'm going to be optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, the pressure is more on them because it's their first home game after a disastrous season being relegated. And I think our performance will be, the tempo will be upped a little bit, and I think they can get down and play their stuff with less pressure compared to what they had the other day. So I'm going to say a 1-0 victory.
Clean sheet as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I think the fact that they won yesterday is probably going to put more pressure on them. They're going to be at home. The fans are going to go, right, 3 points. We're at home now. So it's a home game, it's a bit easier. And I think that's what could bite them on the bum, sort of thing, really. Take their eye off the ball, thinking, we'll be all right in this league. We've got our first win under our belt and stuff like that.
Until they come up and face
I think
McGeady.
I think the fact that we're playing away, will be better. We certainly won't want to lose the game. And if I was to give a prediction, I would say a 1-1 draw.
After all that, you've gone for a draw.
I'm sick.
You
sick
bigged
of
it
that
up there,
scoreline.
man. Come on.
I tell you what, I'll back Ipswich on the coupon. Guaranteed Sunderland to win.
There you go. There's your answer. Back us to lose every week.
I'd love us to win, and I'm really always quite positive. But I'm just the thing is my predictions are terrible. I always get them wrong. So if we go 1-1, then we'll only get beat 2-0. So
is that your mentality? Like you predict a win, we'll get a draw. Predict a draw, we get a loss. Predict a lose, then.
So
it would. How psychologically good would it be if we beat Ipswich, though?
Well, it would. Well, this is what I said. I mean, to be honest, we've got Ipswich and Portsmouth coming out, and if we beat Ipswich and Portsmouth, then there you go. Your tails will be up, and
then we'll probably lose at Rochdale.
Oh, well, that's football. That's football.
How many times do you go into a match and you think, oh, we're going to get beat down here, and then they put a surprise out in the win?
Yeah,
Sunderland, isn't it? Then you go into a match expecting to win and you don't get a win.
I mean, would you take a draw at Ipswich next week, considering
I would
how
take a
up
draw.
for
I would take a
they'll
draw.
be?
Providing we beat Portsmouth, yes.
Yeah, that's what I was saying to you.
That would be the condition. If we beat Portsmouth, then I would take a draw.
I think taking a draw at Ipswich is I think
it wouldn't be a bad result.
No, not at all. I mean, Ipswich are going to be up thereabouts at the end of the season anyway. So. I think taking a draw would be...
I think it'd be more of a siege mentality from the players in the next two games. Hope so, anyway.
And also, considering the week after we're playing Pompey as well, I think a lot of Pompey fans, they got beat the other day. A lot of them are still very unhappy with Kenny Jackett at the minute, and I think that...
It's not too dissimilar from us, isn't it?
But no, I think, that could potentially carry on, end up in them having a bad run. Start of the season.
You probably need them to not win their next game then, and hopefully that carries a hangover effect.
Yeah, but we'll see what happens. Yeah.
Right, we've got some questions. What we're thinking of doing is possibly doing this panel show we do, streaming it live so that you can interact with us direct and ask us questions which we can answer. We knew we was going to record this, so we put this out onto our YouTube channel, asking if you had any questions you wanted to put to the panel that we could answer. We also put it onto our Instagram page as well. So we've got some questions in, so we'll put those out to you, and we'll see where we go from there. So these are from the YouTube channel. Want to Fight asks us.
What a name!
Yeah.
Asks us actually. Want to Fight asks us, do you want to fight?
That's what the players want.
Yeah. He says, he or she says, do you think it's worrying that we didn't do well in pre-season?
No.
It's irrelevant, completely irrelevant, I think. I think it was pre-season was basically just all about...
Just to put into
context. Psychologically, though, it's...
True, but then you could say the year we got relegated under Moyes, we had a pretty decent pre-season then.
I thought the pre-season was okay. I thought we played 2-3 really difficult sides. Premier League Dutch side, Premier League Portuguese side.
They're better than most sides in League One. I think it's purely for experimentation and formation. I know we haven't sorted that out yet, but it is mainly down to fitness. Yeah. It's down to get that sort of thing.
Pre-season, the excitement I get from it is basically just seeing the new signings, how they're going to play. But I think I'm just more bothered about when the season starts.
It's a fair question, but I don't think it's any bearing.
Well, pre-season for me, if your team didn't get promoted the season before, I wouldn't let them go abroad. I'd make them play all the pre-season matches in England against decent sides in England.
In the rain.
Why do we have to go? Why do they have to go to Portugal? Why do they have to go to Portugal? Spend all that money going to Portugal to play pre-season when they could play going against decent League One, League Two sides, Championship sides in this country.
But what about all them fans?
Thinking about the fans going on.
The fans who got to go to Portugal, lie in the sun, drink loads of beer, would have had to go to Scunthorpe.
Then they've got too much money.
I can imagine you being manager. That'd be training, especially, be really fun for you. Like,
at the end of the day, I mean,
love to say it.
Just about money, this left, right, and centre. They're going to take them abroad.
Another question then. Mad for it. Well, two parts really. Asks what positions and players do you think we need, which we've already answered earlier. But it says, do you think Marcus Maddison would be a good signing for us?
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, he's a Sunderland fan himself, so, and I think he's just what we need, especially playing out wide. He will get quality crosses into the box to our strikers.
Well,
and
see
they
the
will
goal.
score.
See the goal that Peterborough scored yesterday. He got the assist for that.
Mm.
I think it'd be an excellent signing. Sadly, I just don't think they're going to splash the money on him.
Where was he born?
Durham.
Durham,
was
wasn't
it?
it?
Isn't most of his
lad,
family up yesterday? Or situated somewhere in the northeast.
It's a no-brainer. You've got a Sunderland fan, you get him playing. He's a Sunderland
Stuart,
fan.
if you're watching this, go and splash out Marcus Maddison.
Hopefully he will.
Come on.
The championship window
I mean,
closes.
there was a thing I saw on Twitter on his Instagram story. It was shared on one of our fan pages that he was on seasons on FIFA and he was
Got a Sunderland kit on them, didn't he?
Yeah, right.
You want players with passion.
Absolutely.
You want to play for the club.
Right, we've got another message here. Taffy Mackham.
Hey, Taffy lad. Hello,
Sound
Taffy.
like comments on my
There you go.
videos a lot. Thank you.
If Jack doesn't get us up this season, will he have to go? Or should we consider the Messi inherited and let him keep rebuilding?
I would say if it's
It looks like he's saying he's giving him to the end of the season. So
which I agree with him on that. That's what I said earlier. But if it's no promotion by the end of the season, I think it is time to say goodbye.
I think, yeah, promotion's the end game. Whatever way you do it.
Yeah, you can't follow him over a cliff. Get rid of him.
right, me, yeah. If we're not promoted this season, then I don't think with any other option. He's got to go, and we've got to try again. Even though I'm not a fan of this league sacking loads of managers and stuff like that, but.
By the time you have 2 years in League One, you should get someone promoted.
Yeah. When you're in a league like this as well, I think the way how football is seen these days, that it's normal that clubs have a managerial merry-go-round. And I think the only club I can think of that hasn't adapted that is Burnley, the way how they've stuck by Sean Dyche.
They've done well, haven't they?
Yeah.
Right, Nigel Dunn. Hiya, Nige.
Down,
Mate.
Refereeing standards were diabolical last year. That's his view.
God, yes.
How should the club and the fans react? I mean, we've seen it in countless games, certainly last season, where the standard of refereeing was just...
They're too under pressure to play at a big stadium like ours.
Do you think referees can buckle when refereeing at the stadium? I think they can't handle it. I think because a lot of them are not like experienced top pros, like in the top two leagues. Mostly aren't anyway. And then whenever a team comes up here, it seems to be made more about an occasion. Oh my God, we're refereeing at Sunderland rather than referee the game.
Are these referees on about 50 grand a year or something? Is that what it is?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that.
Hope not.
I'm not sure that level. I know it's probably more in the Premier League now, but a few seasons ago they were on a grand a game. I think it was
Because bollocks with pressure. You do your job. You go out there. If you're a referee, you want to go out there and do the best possible job you want to do because you want to get promoted to the Championship, to the Premier League. Yeah. If you don't want to do the job, you should be sacked. Simple as. If you're not good enough, you should be relegated.
I think for me, the fans can't do much more. I think the fans appeal for mostly everything in the ground. I think the players have got to do it. You know, I don't particularly like seeing it, but if every other team in this league does it, why shouldn't we do it?
I just feel like, especially with the VAR stuff that's coming in now, like referees, especially in the Football League, will have the mentality, oh, well, yeah, if I had VAR, then I wouldn't have had so much pressure on my shoulders. That would be my excuse. But
what
I do get you. Yeah, exactly.
What can the players do?
No, exactly. Well, I think the players could get into the ref's face a bit more. Look how many times Oxford do it. Look how many times any team that plays against us do it. And I bet you a few times they've got decisions because of that.
If we get in the referee's face, we'd probably get a yellow card, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, with every game that we watch, I mean, a decent bet to make is us getting the first yellow all the time.
For me, I think there's a couple of things. I think the ability of the referee at this level is just not the standard. Well, one we've been used to, and one we should expect. And plus, I think some try and come and make a name for themselves as well. I think they're on this big stage, and
they try and make it about them, don't they?
Well,
I think last season, yes, but this season, I think it'll be more of a level playing field. I think the referees, once they've been up here once, I think it'll be more fair. I think yesterday's referee, to be honest, I think he was quite 50-50. I don't think he was that bad for us.
I thought he was
very
good.
good.
I
Thought
he kept his cards in his pocket for a long time. I thought he was, it took a lot before he started sort of booking period. There was a few where I thought we should have had a booking first half. They should have, and he let them go.
If the players do the job over 40-odd games of the season, the referee doesn't matter.
No, exactly.
The players that win the game.
The only thing I think the referee could have done yesterday was put a bit more of a strict stamp on Oxford's time wasting. Apart from that, I didn't think he did anything wrong.
Right, I'm going to whiz through. We're not going to do all of these because we're going to be pushed for time, really. So we'll just pick some out. So if we miss your question, we do apologise, and I'm sure we'll answer it at another point in time. How many points do you think we'll get this season? That's Fazbear 2000. Are we going to get the 100 points? What the target was? Is that going to be way off? Do you think?
Way off, I think. But I still think we will have enough points to be like right up there.
I will defend very quickly that just because we've said 100 points doesn't mean we're going to get 100. But I think people need to get that into their heads. We're not going to automatically get 100 points, but you should aim for it because that'll get you up. How many you get? If you get 92, 93, that should be enough to get you top two. Based off last year, it would have been anyway.
I would say 80 plus, but
I'm not even interested in the points at this moment in
no,
time.
As long as we go up, I don't care how
I
many
just
points
want
we
to get some
Just
wins
go
on the
up,
board
don't-
and just keep winning matches.
Exactly.
Right, just a couple of quick ones then from
What 110 points?
from our Instagram page. Just a quick one. Power on McGeoch.
Power.
Mickey Ock just.
it's quite tough, that one, to be honest.
Because he played well yesterday.
Yeah.
I wouldn't complain with either. but-
Actually,
No, I wouldn't complain with either as well. It is very, very hard.
Go on, pick one.
McGeoch just, I reckon.
Well, I'd take McGeoch. I liked McGeoch when I first saw him. When I saw him, went to Hartlepool in the pre-season last year, and the whole team was terrible, but he stand out for me. And then I just like him. I thought he played a good game yesterday.
Two
was
different
man of the
types of
match yesterday.
midfielders there. Two different types of midfielders.
I mean, I like both of them, but bring Catamore back.
That was from John McLaughlin, actually.
Oh, John.
Cheers. John Grishel, I think it is. And you've touched on this. What formation do you think we should play this season?
Same as last year. The majority of games we played last year, but obviously now we've got a better defence. They're the stronger defenders. What an attacker. And just we've got abundance of midfielders at this moment in time. Don't be so defensive. Now the Catamore's gone, he hasn't got it. Now we've got better defenders, we don't need to protect the defence as much. If the defenders with the better defenders coming in, keep a clean sheet, and we score more than one goal or score one goal, we win games. So I would play the system he played last year, and he's obviously improved the players to play with that system.
I think if you're gonna, it's a hard one. I think you have to accommodate McGeady somehow. He's the best player in the team. If you're going to play a flat back four, go for a 4-3-3. Put pressure on opposition straight away, and have McGeady's one of the wingers. If you're going to go three at the back, I might be talking crap here, but I think if you go three like a 3-4-1-2, have McGeady in the hole behind the two strikers, and then have midfielders and have like wide players. No, Jack Ross probably won't go for that. But
Tell him.
Yeah. God, if I was a manager, I wouldn't be sitting here. No, for me, 4-3-3. I think you've just got to put teams under pressure. Yeah.
I'm going to say 4-4-2. I think it will adapt to this league a lot better, but it doesn't. I know it just doesn't suit Jack Ross's style of football at all.
Well, when we played fourth, everybody was screaming for 4-4-2 towards the end of last season.
We did look very good.
And then we played it, and just
because the defenders were rubbish.
Yeah, they were at the back. Were woeful, but I mean, for me, see, I like 4-4-2. I think we should, and certainly like at home, two up front, but.
If you had like a diamond 4-4-2 and you had one player helping out in the attack and then a midfielder.
Oh, see, now you're getting all technical.
Yeah,
I haven't got a clue. I'm 4-4-2.
Bowers has clearly been playing a lot of football manager recently.
I'll go off that.
Right.
That's why I'm not manager.
A final question then, and it'll lead us on to sort of summing up down here because we're running out of time now. Ben Paget says, is this going to be like Arsenal Fan TV, where you go to every game and give the fans a voice? Well, we certainly intend giving the fans a voice. The whole idea of setting up this this channel and this platform is to do that. And what we want to do is where the likes of the BBC and ITV just can't air a lot of people's thoughts, and sometimes they have to stay on side with the club because of the connections to the club and things like that. What we want to do is we want to ask the questions to the fans and get their honest opinion. So what we'll do is we'll basically put their response more or less unedited onto the channel. So, you know, to show the passion they've got, and if they want to voice that opinion, then this is the platform where they can do that.
The fans deserve a voice because the fans are the club.
Absolutely. It's, you know, you can read the press and things like that, but you get an honest opinion from the fans, and we'll try and cover as many fans as we can, and there'll be the ones who are positive, the ones who are it's all doom and gloom, but each fan has their own opinion, and there's nothing wrong with voicing that opinion, and that's what we're here to do. Give the fans that chance to do that.
I mean, I watch Arsenal Fan TV, I like it, but I think it's important that we just want to have a fan channel that just does things differently compared to a lot of fan channels.
Have our own identity.
Yeah, just have our own identity, basically.
But I would say...
I'm not bothered about comparing to other fan channels.
To be honest, if you got 1 million subscribers, I wouldn't complain, though. So if you mean like that, like if that's what you mean by being like Arsenal Fan TV, hopefully.
I've never watched it.
Well, are we going to go to every game? We'll try. Well, eventually we will be at every game, home and away. At the moment, we're relying on volunteers. So if we can get people to away games, they'll certainly all the home games will be covered. If we can get people to away games, we'll do that. And certainly, me myself, midweek games, we'll be getting to the away games and bringing you as much information on them as we can. This is a good opportunity to throw it out to you. We're still looking for volunteers. We'd like some more reporters for the home games to get interviews with the fans, and especially if you travel to away games and you would be willing to help us out, and you could get some match reports or speak to the fans at the away games, that would be a massive help to us. If you'd like to get in touch, just drop us a comment below. You can do that, or you can email us on our email address, which is safcfantv73@gmail.com. So you can get in touch that way.
Fans going Portman Road next week. We're calling you out.
There you go. Also, this channel is all about yourselves. At the moment, we've got this feature, what we're doing now, where we have the panel will sit and we'll dissect the games, what's gone on and what's to come. We're also doing the fans' interviews, getting fans' reactions when they come out of the ground. But we are looking for other features as well. So if there's anything you think you'd like to see on SAFC Fan TV, any special features, what we could cover, we're already thinking of doing. We've got fans overseas, and we're going to try and get them to do some vlogs to get their perspective on their match day. We've got fans in America, and how do they watch the match? So things like that we think might be interesting for Sunderland fans to see. But if you have any ideas, again, get in touch. We'll look at it, and it's about trying to build this channel for you, what's interesting and gives you plenty of content that you want to watch. Agreed?
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you to
100%.
everyone. Thank you to everyone who's supporting. By the way, it's massively appreciated.
Appreciate all the
A
subscribers.
lot of work goes into everything here. So
Exactly. Thank you. This bloke here put loads of work into this channel. Well done, Mr.
Well done, man.
Mr.
Thank
Phil.
you.
10 minutes. 10 minutes a day. So that's about it then. Listen, thanks very much for tuning in and watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button. And if you've got friends, tell them about it. We'll try and get these subscribers up. Give us a like, hit the thumbs up and all that. And if you'd like to leave a comment in the comments below, please do so. And we'll be back next week when we'll discuss the 3 points we've taken off Ipswich.
Keep the faith.
So we'll see you then.
Yeah. One last thing, subscribe to all of our respective channels, please. Just a shameless plug.
We'll do that. We'll put links down below to each of our channels, and you can subscribe then to those. So we'll see you again next week. See you, bye.
Thank you.